I said to Ben, sausage sandwich or sausage roll, right? And he went, "What's a sausage sandwich?" And I was like, "A sausage, like, you know, like a sausage sandwich. Like, what's one of them?" I was like, "You know, like you have for breakfast." And he was like, "No, is it like chocolate sausages and sandwich with sauce?" I was like, well, yeah, kind of." And he was like, "Oh, I don't want one of them. I'll go with the sausage roll." But I was just like, how would you not know what a sausage sandwich is if you had like a full English? Introducing Stephanie Ornithari, lead singer and rock and roll star of Everything After Midnight, consumes pints larger than her head. See the thumbnail of this video, and regarded as the coolest member of Everything After Midnight. Thank you, Adam Robson, my dad. Thanks for being present, even though you're visiting your boy F in the pool.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll start with the first time that we met in terms of the audition that you had with us. If you just walk us through what happened.
So, you guys put an advert on Fan Society asking for a singer and a bassist, and I think you already had a drummer at that point. So I contacted you guys saying my boyfriend and I were interested, and sent you a little clip of me singing, which was completely terrifying. And then we met up for a little bit, and you asked me a couple of questions about what if I was comfortable with like writing lyrics, for example, and if I've ever performed before, and just sort of got to know each other a bit, and it all turned out great.
I remember you specifically with that. You said that you and your boyfriend wanted to do it, and you saw the ad when you were drunk, and then afterwards, the following day, you realized. Well, your boyfriend realized. Oh yeah, I probably could. You realised like it probably wouldn't work because obviously he was going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then I remember we didn't get the little clip of you of singing it. It was like a Queen song or whatever. We didn't get that clip until like the day before, and we just didn't think you were going to turn up. We just thought you'd like answered the ad, and then you'd kind of were like, "Oh, she's going to bail," and obviously you arrived because I think you just handed in your PhD, and not your PhD, man. Fuck's sake. It's
my
too
dissertation.
It's too early in the morning.
I was going to say, I'm not a doctor yet.
No, dissertation. See, this is one thing you need to know about Steph, is that she's definitely a morning person. And I am a morning person as long as I don't have to talk to anyone or have any social interactions. As long as I just get up and sort myself
Aiden,
out.
I got up 15 minutes ago. You're giving me too much credit.
I remember that though with there was a period where you were like just sending videos of you getting up. You get up at like 4:30 sometimes to see like the sunrise. In terms of the band, since you've obviously joined, what would be one of the best memories you've had, or a good memory in either whilst playing or when we've either been at like the pub or a gig or something along those lines?
I think in general we just have so much fun, and I just know sounds like really naff, but I'll just be smiling the whole time that we meet up because we just have such a great time. But I think definitely being in Home First and all being in that, I don't know what it was called, but all dancing at the end of that night.
Box Office, the pub.
Yeah, and that was so much fun, and I think, you know, just sort of looking around thinking this is such a great place to be, and I think it was just a great weekend in general, staying at Jacob's house and meeting families and performing. It was really great.
It turned out that us going to do the gig was not even the main event. It was just to go get pissed, and also for my parents and Jacob's parents to meet, collide, and go kaboom. But it was a pretty ropey weekend. I drank fucking lot. But no, I agree. I think that was good. So Andrew said his best memory was when we did the Victoria Vaults gig and we're all dressed up as the Gallagher brothers.
Aw.
And I think Bambra, Ben said Vambra was his favourite gig. I didn't ask him which one, but I imagine it was probably the last one that we did before lockdown. What would you say is your favourite song that we play and why?
I think it probably is, again, just because, I don't know, I guess I wrote the lyrics from a place where I had a lot of anger. You can imagine me angry.
Imagine you angry. Imagine you angry does not work. It's not something.
So I think it's just really fun to put like the emotion into it. Also, I don't know. I think it's become a bit of a special song because it's sort of the songs that started everything now. So yeah, I think definitely again.
I mean, good song choice, but the correct answer was Waiting. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just putting my hands up. But no, I think in terms of togetherness and where everything fits, I think everyone has very distinct styles and they approach the song in their own way, and it's because we're so individualistic about how we approach it. It's like, that's us. That sound is like, that's like defines us. And obviously it's the first thing we're releasing, you know, it's a fucking tune. When you joined, did you feel any pressure of joining in terms of coming into a band where you didn't really know anyone, and obviously you said you hadn't been in any bands before? Did you feel like there was any like pressure being put on you or anything to do anything?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm the type of person I put a lot of pressure on myself, and you know, you were saying there was a gap for me to send that recording. It was because I was close to not sending anything, because I just thought, no, this is terrible, this is so cringy, I can't send it. And I really just had to like close my eyes and press the send button. I was like, look, nothing bad is gonna happen, just go for it. And also, I'd never written, I was fine with writing lyrics, but I had never written a melody before, and I was quite scared because I just thought, I don't want it to be bad, the music's so good and I'm going to get it wrong. And I think it's just sort of teasing problems for something that's new. Oh, and also, I've never sung like, throughout my life, I've always sung musical theatre, and that is immensely different to the kind of stuff you sing the band. So I thought, I don't even know if I'm going to sound any good. It's going to sound a bit operatic. It's going to sound strange. Yeah, I think there were worries, but I often think like when starting something new, there's often like the horrible like beginning part where you just think, oh, I can't do this. But then once you're into the flow of it and you look back and you think, well, that bit was so minor compared to everything else.
I think it's something which I never get my head around, obviously because I'm not a singer, is the fact that, especially in a band, when you're a frontman or even a frontwoman in your case, the pressure, because you are the image of the band, and the way the person sings, that kind of defines massively the band. Like, take for example, like, even though it's Oasis, if you took out Liam Gallagher, like, it's just kind of the song's there and it's a rock band, but if you put him in, that's what defines it. And it's like with Radiohead and all these other bands, and that's something I can never get my head around, so I can never sort of fully appreciate it. What's been your favourite gig?
It has to be the Battle of the Bands final. It was just so much fun, and just felt a bit on top of the world, really, because I couldn't believe, because I've been at York for a fairly long time, and I'd always been to see the Battle of the Bands. I never pictured myself actually in the final, and it was a great venue, a great atmosphere, and I think I just told myself, like, just have fun. There's no point putting any pressure on yourself right now, because you'll just sort of ruin it for yourself. So you might as well just have fun. And it was great fun.
No, it was good. Like you were saying, you were on top of the world, like, so you basically had Aiden fever 24/7.
Yeah.
I like that gig, but my problem with that gig was before we'd even started, I was absolutely dripping with sweat. So then once we'd finished the song, I think we started with again. I mean, I was just like a bath of sweat, and it was horrible. And it was my own fault, because I did have me stupid jumper and t-shirt on top, because obviously, you know, fashion comes first. The most recent song that we've released is, I've got Thursdays Are Over, but it's referred to as Home and All the Spaces in Between.
I mean, I think that's quite a long title, but I don't mind either way.
Well, just abbreviate it, because I remember Andrew abbreviated it, and I remember reading it, I was like, that sounds pretty good. But in terms of that, I want to know, when you're writing the lyrics, well, not even writing the lyrics, when you were reading it, why did you think of doing a spoken word? And then just kind of briefly discuss the project that it's a part of, the arts thing you tell us about.
Yeah, so the Modern Studies department wanted to create an exhibition, sort of an online exhibition, where members of the department, so students and teachers, could create artistic pieces, and it's all called like COVID counter voices, sort of give a project to people whilst in isolation. So the projects like included like video or music or poetry or prose, lots of various different things. So I thought it would be really cool if we created something, you know, gives us something to work towards, and I thought it was quite cool. And yeah, I think we all like did a lot of like sampling, so sort of collecting sort of different sounds and creating a bit of a soundscape, as well as writing music. So I guess I don't know, I guess with the vibe of the song, I mean, I first listened to what you guys put together, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I just thought, it doesn't need lyrics, it's just so beautiful on its own. But I guess with the sort of collecting sounds and stuff, I guess sort of collecting spoken word as well did fit in quite well. So that's why I thought, okay, instead of trying to write something, I'll collect it. I'll collect something that's already written. So I delved into my old diaries, which was quite an experience in itself. I've had my laptop I've had it for over 10 years, or close to 10 years. So I have so much writing on there when I, you know, from like 2010 or what have you. So I went into some of the diary entries I did, and you know, obviously I was cringing, but it's strange because you do cringe, but also you remember how important it all was, and I was like, that was so important to me. That was a lifeline. So I just thought I'll just go to read some of it, and that will be like I've collected or I've sampled piece from the past, and then Andrew can choose what he thinks sounds best. And I think even now I absolutely adore the song, but it's hard not to be like, oh, that was just 13-14-year-old me being a bit emotional. Yeah.
But with it, it's sort of like, I mean, when you go on about you not having the confidence to like, at first you're like not worrying about writing lyrics and singing, like, I mean, you've got some fucking confidence now to read diary entries from when you were 10. Like, if I had a diary when I was 10, there's no way I'd be sharing it with anyone, because I just would have already burned it, you know. But it is that song. I was talking to Andrew about it in his little interview, and like, I'm very happy with it. And obviously, Andrew was saying it's not like our other stuff, but it's still us. In terms of confidence, do you think it's improved a lot from being within the band Everything After Meme Night?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's definitely grown in terms of like being as a singer and being a front person in the band. But I wouldn't say I have like complete confidence in everything I do. I think, oh, I'm amazing. I think it's more that I know now. I don't know. I think there's like a saying somewhere where it's like it only takes 20 seconds of blind courage for something great to happen. So I sort of take that mentality a lot of the time, even though I think at the beginning I thought, oh gosh, I can't do this gig. I'm really scared. I just thought, just throw yourself in, and I can do that more easily now. So I think, yeah, confidence has definitely grown, and I think on all aspects, as well as lyric writing, as well as performance.
I think that's a good thing though with being in bands and being kind of musical, is you never stop improving. I don't think you can ever not, like, I'll say that, like, from my first band, and Andrew was saying from his first band, and Ben even said in his interview that, like, as time progresses and if you keep at something, you will always get better. So when you get people who say, like, musicians who are like in the 50s and say like they're the best they can be, it's not true. Like, everyone always improves, and I'll say that from even the start of Everything After Midnight and now, like, my capabilities at playing guitar and doing that has massively improved. And then, as you're saying, as your confidence has improved, I think it's very noticeable, especially with you, even in the demos we did in December, compared to some of the demos we've done recently, or even like comparing the demo of Again to the actual release of Again. I think there's a massive difference in terms of how you approached it, and it's like, obviously it's fucking great. Obviously if you hadn't improved, then, you know, Bye Bye would have got in, you know, Liam Gallagher or someone. I'm sure he would have been up for the gig. But it's just like, when you see that, it's that kind of signal of this is working, and it's moving at the right speed. Talking of, when you were talking about band sock, about going there, so this is pre-EAM, by the way, before we stormed band sock and took over in a dictatorship. When you used to go, was there any bands who you saw that you were like, oh, they're really good? And what was it sort of like before the band sock that we all kind of know?
Yeah, so I think the society has definitely grown and become far more active than when I first went there in my first year. So I think sort of stuff would happen at the beginning of the year, and then it would perhaps sort of fizzle out a bit. So yeah, I think it's become far more active as a society, and I think Battle of the Bands has grown significantly, which is really great. In terms of a band that I saw that I thought were so good, we sort of went to like the opening jam at the beginning of the year after signing up at Freshers Fair, and there was one band that came together and they performed Johnny Be Good, and oh my god, it was incredible. I was just completely in awe. And like the guy who the front man, he was clearly, I don't know, he did have like this sort of vintage vibe. He had like this blazer on. He was absolutely going for it. And I think also it was so unexpected for them to do Johnny Be Good, because I think a lot of people were doing like, there was a lot of Red Hot played there, and I've forgotten what the song is called. Hotel California.
Oh, right, okay. They should have been playing Again acoustic before it was even made. Technically, at that point, the riff might have been made. Hashtag when I was in Jack Jack.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you've been either in this band or at a gig with us or anything like that, where you felt intimidated being either the only female, and has there ever been a time where it's kind of bothered you in terms of either being the only female or being with a group of lads, like when we went to see the Blue Stones. Is that what they're called? When we went to see the Blue Stones, was there a time where you've ever felt conscious or uncomfortable?
I guess the simple answer is no. I never ever pay attention to it, and in some cases I quite like it, because before band society I was always part of dance, and before that I was part of cheerleading, and I always felt like I didn't quite fit in, because even though I'm female and I am feminine, I think girls there were probably more so than I was, and I didn't feel like I didn't quite fit in. So it's actually the opposite, that in band society with you guys, I don't even have to think about fitting in, because I'm just having a good time, and it's sort of a weight off my shoulders. And I don't think I've ever felt, I mean, I have noticed obviously that I'm one of the very few girls performing in the band, but I think I don't feel intimidated. In some cases I kind of feel good about it, because I'm glad I'm representing women, but also I find it interesting as well, because I think, why aren't there many girls that play bass and drums? You know, most girls I know that do perform, they're more singer-songwriters, and I don't know whether it's, well, I think it's probably because of representation in the industry in general, and that's why it's made me want to venture out and find sort of those rocky female singers, performers, and artists. So yeah, no, I don't think I've ever found it intimidating. I think I find it more interesting from a feminist societal perspective.
Well, in terms of that, you've obviously kind of answered the next question I'm going to ask, but to put it simply with Steph, is that when she was cheerleading or at dance, they might have had, I don't know, a gin or maybe wine. Steph would have had a pint. And if she was questioned about whether to have anything other than a pint, she would have turned around and said, "Fuck you, rock and roll lives and dies with me." Now back to the serious questions. In terms of the music industry then, you've kind of briefly talked about it. Do you think it's failing in promoting women within the music, or do you think it's starting to kind of, there's certain steps now being eventually made?
I don't know, I think I often think far more can be done, and I do think there's better representation of women in the industry, but I think there's also more rooted reasons as perhaps why not a lot of women progress, but also because it's not a particularly safe place for women as well, which is really sad. So I mean, I find it continually interesting that, you know, the sort of the arts have shown us something soft, and the sciences and STEM have shown us something sort of hard, and they belong to men, and the arts belong to women. Yet the like creative industries are dictated by men, and I just like, where does that happen? So I think a big part of the music industry isn't just about getting female artists, but also getting female producers, women owning and sort of record labels and stuff, because I think that's when the real change will probably happen. So yeah, I think it's getting better, but I'm often of the opinion like there's way more that can be done.
I can't think genuinely of anyone that I listen to where there's a female in the band and the music they make is like bad. We won't let gender roles define how our band sounds, you know. And now we'll come to the final round. After all this intense talk, let's just have a little bit of fun at the end. So this is basically like a quick fire round, and I'm going to throw some quick fire questions at you, and you've got to give immediate responses, otherwise Ben Lev takes over your position in the band and you go So, first question is, what's your favourite biscuit?
Custard cream.
Guess whose favourite biscuit that is also? Andrew's and mine.
They're the best.
And Andrew finished his interview yesterday and he sent me a picture of him. I think he's taking part of custard cream and then eating the inside. And I was like, oh, yes. Next question is green or red grapes?
Red. Oh my gosh, my heart was torn too. I didn't know what to say.
As an FYI, regular front men, women might have problems with like drugs, alcohol. Steph's addiction is with grapes, to a point where I once had grapes which I wasn't going to eat, and she said, "Oh, can I have some?" And I went, "Yeah, of course you can," and she finished them.
It's actually the thing is,
time.
you make the addiction comparison, but it is a problem. Like grapes are like £2 a box. It's not a good thing.
A monetary problem. So when people can't afford the addiction of drugs, Steph's in there with her co-op grapes. You need to batch buy them. You need to buy them online in big boxes.
Yeah. I should get a vineyard.
All that sounds more sensible. That's sustainable and it'll be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Next one is Tom York or the City of York.
Tom York.
Tom York. Why Tom York over the City of York?
Because I listened to his Desert Island disc and it was just immensely cool, and I thought I want to hang out with him. So
don't worry, they'll be supporting us when we're on a world tour headlining stadiums.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish. And then the last question is, describe yourself in one word.
Loud.
You can't describe yourself loud, that's me.
I think I'm so loud. Even now I feel like my voice is echoing through the class. I'm so loud.
Andrew described himself as Raj. There's a reoccurring thing here of, it seems to be that so far, I don't even think I did it with Ben because his interview was too long. But words that are being described, I am also hearing these words and going, that's me as well. It's like this podcast I'm calling Cheesy Beans on Toast. And that's because obviously I've said about it and now it's in our bio because Andrew put it, because I used to fucking bang on about it so much. So we've reached the end of the EAM interviews, obviously concluding with the rock and roll star herself. Thanks for partaking in this. It's been enjoyable and a lot more civilized than previous ones. It's got more civilized as I've progressed. And I now can finish, and I'm off to Durham now to pick up my sister because she's gone camping.
Oh, that's exciting.
And she's a bit ropey. She's a bit fucked up, I think. So I'm gonna have family fun in a car. Wave to all 5 people watching. Bye everyone.
Goodbye everybody.